Ndewono asụkwa na m abịakwa ebe a tata ọnụ ọzọ ka m bịakọkwanụ ka akụkọ mụ na chi m si wee dịrị. Ka nkọkwa ka m kwukwe maka asụkwa na ekwurekwu mele ọnụ anụghọkwa mele ntị na egbulukwe n'isi ntị esori wee gaba ịghọta. Aka m si wee bịa ka m bịa ka nkọkwara unu. Let me do another episode of vlogging and ịkọ akụkọ maka abụrụ m onye okwu these days. So what I'm trying to say here, or the topic that I want to discuss, is about this new trend of looking at promiscuity as polygamy. Okay, some people now, they'll be like, when some people ask me like, what's your thoughts on polygamy? And I look at them and I say, okay, personally, I come from a very, very big family. Not a polygamous family, a very big extended family. Like we lived in a family compound where from your house to your cousin's house is just like coming downstairs and look at your cousin's house. So I was surrounded by family. Growing up, it was fun, it was nice. But when we're now getting to a certain age, everything started coming, bickering. So that kind of drama, it has already influenced my my decision or whatever thing I have about polygamy. So but what I tell people is that I'm very, very indifferent about polygamy. It's acceptable in our culture. It's a form of marriage. Even white men on Dutch now polyamory, which is a very different thing from polygamy, but they are very close. But they do it and it's acceptable. So polygamy, I don't have anything against polygamy. Once two people decide this is what we want to do, it's fine, no wahala. You guys can go ahead. So I need to talk about this thing because many people are now coming into Odinaani with the mindset that Odinaani allows or creates room for promiscuity. Now I've had instances where a man was asking me out. He's quite married. He's married, and he was like, all these are normal talks. I was like, you're married? Like, yes, that our culture permits it. I said, our culture does not permit you to sleep with me without getting married to me, like doing it the proper way. Not me being the side chick, me being the secondary fiddle or secondary person in the relationship. This is not what our culture supports. So many people now use this polygamy thing to justify promiscuity. Once they go outside or they step outside of their marriage and probably it results to pregnancy, and the woman in question doesn't want to keep it quiet, wants to probably even get married to the man. Now you see that person hanging under the canopy of polygamy is our culture, and the person will start justifying it with Bible passages. I'm 100% sure that many people know who I'm talking about. Man, I'm like it, I'm like it, so I'm very quiet. I'm like it, so I'm mad. But that kind of behavior may influence the next generation, or not influence the small boy because people like this, apart from this popular figure, I've had so many interactions even with men, my peers, my classmates, my ex-classmates. Like me and them, we used to, they give to them bumper to bumper, and I'm very, very equipped and knowledgeable in culture, even more than them. So once they come to start coming from this angle of it's our culture, and I'm looking at you as, do you even know this culture that you're strong or you're fighting over, that you want to defend? How many times have you drink, you go to the bar, I know your schedule, you drink a lot. How many times have you even brought out from that your beer and even pour libation to your ancestors to even honor them? That culture that you're trying to defend, how many times have you even thought about breaking kola and offering it to your ancestors? Or are you supporting culture when it fits your promiscuous needs? So we need to understand that polygamy, like just if you're looking at polygamy, look at polygamy from an essence, from a as a function. Because I had this conversation with my friend. My friend was like, in those days, our ancestors looked at marriage as a function. Now, how can marriage be a function? Marriage could be a function because of procreation. To give birth to ụmụaka ga-emepụta ihe. Now, there is a reason for polygamy. Now, I will go through some of these reasons. Now, after going through these reasons, you will see that sex or sexual indiscipline is not the reason for polygamy in Igbo culture. So don't look at this that is a woman that is saying this, women can never support polygamy, blah, blah, blah. I know a lot of women that are comfortable with that idea. I know some people that they will tell you that if you want to marry a second wife, no problem. Just, I want to have my own building. I want to have my own, to stay separate from your second wife. We set up ground rules. Yeah, this is how it's been done. It's not something that is done and your wife is not aware. Sometimes they will say they're not she will tell you, daddy, nanyo, I chose to me name fast some more. I get just like one you get in a come again. The man will give his consent. I say I like you, or even the man would even bring the woman and say, you know how they discuss. So it's not something that the people involved with him are being taken unawares. Now let's go through the reasons. The first reason is because of children, because the family wants, they talk about procreation in those days. Now, Ibisa now is tied to two things. This procreation is now tied to two things. So obviously now the two reasons now, which is for procreation. Now within that procreation now it falls on two angles. Now the first one would be to basically multiply within the community. Now the second one reason now that falls under this procreation, this procreation as a reason for polygamy now means that the economic symbol as at that point is how many young ban obaji one ka this family nwe. If ndị na-aza DG anasị gị na ha bụ ndị na-akọji. Now how many yams ka inwe in your ban? How many ban ka inwe? So that means you would have to constantly employ labor. But when you have a big or a large family, instead of buying labor, those children will now be used as farm aids. Ndị nwunye gị, ndị ụmụaka gị, everybody comes together. Ememezikwenụ azụwazie anako anele. Ifuno a symbol of wealth, which in this our current generation it has shifted. It's now how many cars do you have? How many how glamorous is your house? Cafe na zakeke siwe malagi. So you've seen that shift. Now another reason for polygamy is based on onochie. Every culture, not just Igbo culture, every culture, whether it's a European culture or is an African culture, has this thing about onochie. Not that they don't consider the women, but the women, everybody with their own gender role, everybody with their own function in the society. So that one is there, it's just aside. So we don't look at the other thing, family natural onochie. Now this means that the man, if he would have one wife, or he would want to take a second wife in order to have an heir, onochie. Now, because of evolution and time and we go all that means of getting male children without necessarily marrying a second wife. So basically these are the reasons for all this polygamy thing in those days. And for one thing I've actually even found out is that the fact that polygamy was generally accepted doesn't even mean that it was compulsory. It was still a matter of choice. Because anyway, some men, our ancestors there that did the monogamous form of marriage, it works for them. Just that now that anyway go like a reverse aburugo the situation, monogamy is now more popular than polygamy. But all those things are acceptable forms of marriage. Now these things, this polygamy of a thing, it's not being done because of sexual intimacy. You don't go into polygamy because away match egbara at that bargain, you will now decide, okay, let me now go and bring in a second woman and marry that second woman. Like one thing that most men in this generation don't even know is that mgbe gboo nwoke na-enwe ife ọ na-eji ejide onwe ya, ha na-eko ọgwụ ka a na-eko gịnị ma ọgwụ o ji eme business ma ọgwụ o ji eje ije, ọ chọrọ ije from this place to that place, okoro akpa ọgwụ ya wee n'aka. So it demands that you maintain some sort of sexual purity. Now apart from men na-eji ọgwụ, o nwere ndị baka ji ọfọ. In those days a na-enwe n'ife chi, na-enwe ife ndị ichie, na-enwe ma ndị bụja aka ji ọfọ, different kinds of power points. So they need to have this sexual purity. I'm going to play a video, you just watch it, then we'll continue. Now that sexual purity na bụkwa nsọ na-eme na ihe niile ahụ onye nwoke ahụ ji eche ndụ ya na-adị ile. So in these days now, how many of our current men they eji anything? How many of them go the okpesi chifa? How many of them were anything related to Odinaani? But they want to cherry pick. They will tell you that no, this one bit better or Odinaani bit better, say you get it equated more Odinaani. But then again when it support they no one nabo. Because it's something that satisfies your nonsense attitude. Now, looking at it, because this is why many people think that Igbo culture sees women as as inferior, sees women as things either less. But as a practitioner, that does not mean I agree with a lot of things that is being done to women. But I understand that the intention behind the institution of some of those cultures, or they're malignant, it wasn't done because they want to see women as being less. So when we talk about this polygamy of a thing, we think it's something that just favors men. For instance, now there is even this culture that I read around the Bariam, say ime egoy. Now, it's a legalized form of a polygamy for the women. But in this case now, the woman from or they want to do this, their extramarital this thing. The man, they would come to the man, inform him, the same way they are going to do the imego. The man would give his permission and would also give his blessings. So culture, to my knowledge, or to via things that I've seen, heard, researched, and read, especially from an angle that I'm looking at it from, it doesn't favor one party and discriminate the second party. So if we are being honest about culture has a way of maintaining balance. Because nature also tries to uphold and maintain balance. Yin and yang, good versus evil. Everything would have to come before we'll be able to realize ourselves. So it pains me that this noble institution of polygamy is constantly being torn away from its essence. See polygamy as something noble. See polygamy as something that you've weighed the pros and cons. You know the advantage, you know the disadvantage, and it's something you'd have to inform your partner earlier on that this is something I want to do before you enter into it. Because personally to me, apart from people that are looking for male children and they've tried all the modern conventional means and they will now decide to settle for polygamy, it's a good and viable reason to me personally. But there are other aspects, which is the economic factor that is surrounding it. To me, currently, it has no bearing as a reason for polygamy. So if your reason for and there's this thing that they look at it and they say that men that don't want to go into polygamy are weak men, and I'm looking at the person that is calling his fellow man weak. Like, if we really test the both of you, they will look at it as people that are not hardworking enough. Hardworking in what? In this Nigeria, like, the country is hard. It's hard for even the average man that is hardworking. Now, would he now be somebody that is just trying to survive and give his home a good leadership, and you're now trying to scatter his head with polygamy? So, even in those days, I'm sure that it's not even within the first 10 to 15 years of marriage, the first wife, that the man is even going for the second wife, except in situations where the man are not on one, advanced, because so you have to climb and get to a certain level, not just financially, because it's not just money that you can use to control your home. So once you've gotten to that age, the reasoning, you can now be able to handle things maturely. Then you can now go into polygamy. So my purpose is not to shame polygamy in any way. It's not to tell people that polygamy is a terrible or is a bad culture. Hell no. But it's to tell people that it's not an avenue for promiscuity. Polygamy is not a situation where men would, treat women anyhow, cheat on them, and now claim our ancestors did it. No. Now, people that are supporting this thing that many people are calling polygamy, they are giving it the wrong mindset. Because we're trying to create awareness about Odinaani, Igbo spirituality, Igbo culture, people are now trying to allow everything can hurry as culture. They're now trying to accept and assimilate everything, especially when it comes to this intimacy between a man and a woman, sex. So I even know, I talked about sexual purity and how men, especially when you have an akajofo, that you have to maintain this level of cleanliness for you to interact with a cosmic force, a cosmic being. We all know ajofia, and many of us are not even aware that the man that has that ajofia is not married. He's maintaining the highest form of sexual purity. So when people look at it, because I've had this argument, and the guy was like, our ancestors knew that polygamy serves a purpose for the man because men are sexually insatiable, aka promiscuity. It didn't make sense. This was not what our ancestors did. But people will always cherry pick culture that suits their purpose, whether without even trying to assess the intentions behind it. So far is a culture that allows that or prevents it, that you are not being held accountable. No problem, it's okay. Let's do it. So as we are trying to spread the goodwill of Odinaani, as we are trying to spread the willful or good intentions our ancestors used and practiced, the right way they practice Odinaani, and understood that everybody's voice should be heard. Everybody, and we're balanced. So let's keep spreading this message. Let's keep, creating an awareness and letting people know that promiscuity is not polygamy. Polygamy is not promiscuity. These are two different things. Ofube virtue, ofube vice. So guys, until next time, Don't forget to subscribe. If you've not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. It's going to help me a lot. It encourages me, when I come and I see, okay, one more person subscribed, and I'm happy. Nwekwe strength when Odinaani, because this the Ogwanano, it's me and you. We're supposed to do it together. We're supposed to help the next generation understand Odinaani, so they don't make the mistake that some of us are making or are made in this journey. So please subscribe and turn on the notification button. Follow me on any of my social media. I attend to questions, and people that want to book sessions can book sessions. I will discuss, and I try to basically guide you in Odinaani, and refer you to books to read. So until next time, yeah, Gaziel. Thank you very much.